I can't get that fired up to the point where I'm bumping coach and it's getting him off balance and stuff.
Kelce admitted his past blow-ups crossed the line, but this time things went further. At MetLife Stadium, millions watched as Travis Kelce confronted Andy Reid again, pushing their volatile relationship to a breaking point. What happened on that sideline next may have forced the Chiefs' legendary coach to walk away from Kansas City for good. The eruption, when history repeated itself in front of the world. The second quarter clock ticked ominously at MetLife Stadium as the Kansas City Chiefs clung to a precarious 6-0 lead that felt more like quicksand than solid ground. What was about to unfold would not only shock millions of primetime viewers, but also serve as the latest chapter in a complicated relationship marked by previous explosive confrontations, mutual respect, and the kind of raw emotion that had defined both men's careers. This wasn't their first rodeo. In fact, the brewing confrontation carried the weight of their shared history of passionate outbursts, previous clashes, and the unique dynamic that had somehow produced championship-level success despite, or perhaps because of, their volatile interactions. The most telling precedent for what was about to occur had happened on the biggest stage possible, Super Bowl LVIII against the San Francisco 49ers on February 11, 2024. During that game, with the Chiefs trailing 10-0 in the second quarter, Kelce had been pulled from the game after a failed drive, prompting him to physically confront Reid by grabbing his arm and bumping him, causing the 67-year-old coach to stumble. Kelce's own reflection on that Super Bowl incident revealed the depth of his regret and the complexity of his relationship with Reid.
I can't get that fired up to the point where I'm bumping coach and it's getting him off balance and stuff.
I mean, let's be honest, the yelling in his face too is over the top. I think there's better ways to handle this.
I love Coach Reid. Coach Reid knows how much I'd love to play for him. I'm not playing for anybody else.
The aftermath of that Super Bowl confrontation had been telling.
Reid actually came right up to me after that, and he just let him know, hey man, I love your passion. I got cameras on me all over the place, man.
He's letting you know not to be like that.
Just fired me up even more to go out there and get a victory for him, man. Big Red, sorry if I caught you with that cheap shot, baby, but damn, I love winning with it.
Reid's handling of that Super Bowl incident had been characteristically gracious and understanding.
Don't make too much of it. I mean, look, he's a passionate guy, and I love that part. So I've been through a lot of things with him, so that's all part of it. I love that he loves to play the game. That's what I love, and it's an emotional game. So I'll take it.
But the Super Bowl incident was just one chapter in a long history of passionate exchanges between the two men.
But listen, I knew the roots.
Yeah.
So for the first 5 years, it was a war. The last 5 years have been unbelievable. You know, he traveled the country to 50 states. Dating 50 girls. I knew this show would be. Easy.
Yeah.
This show would be easy.
Yeah, this is nothing compared to that.
We've named plays after it. We've had our fun.
And that play has been a hell of a play for us, Coach.
No, it has.
Reid's admission that their relationship had been a war for the first 5 years provided crucial context for understanding their dynamic.
Yeah. So, like I said, for like the first 5 years, those rumors were pretty close.
Yeah.
For the next 5 years, they've been awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched him blossom into a leader, and I mean, he's always been a great player, but tremendous leader, big heart.
Now on this September evening in 2025, all of that history, the college arrest, the early NFL fines, the family tragedies, the previous sideline confrontations, was about to culminate in another explosive moment that would test the boundaries of their relationship once again. The sequence began with what should have been a routine drive for a team that had built its reputation on capitalizing on opportunities. The Giants had just turned the ball over, gifting the Chiefs excellent field position at New York's 47-yard line. But what followed was a masterclass in frustration and missed execution that would prove to be the final straw for both coach and player. On first down, rookie running back Brashard Smith dropped what should have been a routine pass from Patrick Mahomes, immediately putting the Chiefs behind the chains. The second down play provided little relief as Kelce caught the ball but was tackled for a 2-yard loss, pushing the Chiefs further from the first down marker. The crushing blow came on 3rd and 12 when Mahomes looked past Kelce and instead targeted backup tight end Noah Gray on a slant route. For a player who had built his career on being the reliable safety valve in crucial situations, being overlooked on such a critical down was like a dagger to the heart. Gray's incomplete pass forced the Chiefs to attempt a 40-yard field goal, which Harrison Butker sailed wide right, leaving the Chiefs with nothing to show for their excellent field position. NBC's cameras captured the exact moment when Kelce's frustration boiled over, showing him storming off the field with his helmet in hand, clearly agitated and gesturing wildly. But what happened next would separate this incident from their previous confrontations. Unlike the Super Bowl, where Kelce had been the aggressor, this time it was Reid who initiated the physical contact. Rather than allowing Kelce to continue his frustrated march down the sideline, Reid intercepted his path and delivered a deliberate shoulder bump to Kelce's chest. The role reversal was stunning and unexpected. This time, Reid was the one taking the aggressive stance, bumping Kelce while delivering what lip readers later interpreted as, "Tell me why I shouldn't kick you off." How about that? Kelce's response, according to the same analysis, focused on his physical limitations. "It's my ankle. I need to see the doc about that. I could have saved that if it wasn't for that." The immediate reaction from NBC's broadcast team captured the significance of the moment. Mike Tirico's live commentary. You've seen them before kind of get heated there, but you can sense the frustration on both sides of that story. Acknowledge their history while recognizing this felt different. The incident quickly became a topic of intense debate among media personalities and former players who understood the dynamics of high-pressure situations. Chris Long, the former NFL defensive end, provided perhaps the most balanced perspective on his appearance on The Rich Eisen Show.
What'd you make of Travis Kelce going up and barking at Reid and making contact with his coach? You know, I know they both laughed it off afterwards, and Reid saying he's keeping me young and he caught me off balance. But what'd you make of that one, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like it. I mean, you know, I don't think any football player watching is like, yeah, that's how I'd handle myself. So I know it's super, emotional. And I think Kelce's, there's a lot on the line. I think there's a lot going through everybody's head. And he's frustrated, but he'd tell you can't do that. I think he'd tell you that. But I think also, I wanted to hear what Andy had to say after the game. And I think they have that kind of relationship where, they're almost like family. And so while I totally understand the sentiments of AJ Brown during the game, I also, in retrospect, I'm like, how big of a deal should I make this?
Long's analysis highlighted the central tension in how to interpret such incidents, the balance between understanding the emotional intensity of professional sports while maintaining appropriate boundaries and respect. The viral nature of the confrontation ensured immediate and widespread commentary. Former NFL players offered their perspectives based on their own experiences with heated sideline moments.
So that I put myself in the situations and I can speak on it because I understand it. So coaches like that love players like that. As soon as they asked Andy Reid about it, he said, "I don't mind. I love it. That's the passion. He's done it before." The reason why I say that, I've been in times where I came out of games and got into it with coaches, stood up and cursed Pop out. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the game, when we won that championship, he the first one hugging me the most powerful for me. So
Skip Bayless offered a more cynical take during his September 24th Arena podcast appearance, suggesting that Kelce's confrontations might be staged celebrity acts designed to create drama and inspire the team. His perspective reflected a growing skepticism about whether Kelce's celebrity status and off-field fame were affecting his on-field behavior. Stephen A. Smith's analysis went deeper into the psychological aspects of what was driving Kelce's frustration.
Well, we don't have to overreact to it. We just don't need to underreact by saying it's nothing. And the reason why we can't say it's nothing, it's not that a confrontation between Kelce and Reid is what you should pay attention to, because they're absolutely fine. Travis Kelce, my brother from another mother, that brother loves Andy Reid, and Andy Reid loves him back. The issue is that Travis Kelce's a realist. Woody, Cam, y'all both know this. You know a real one when you see one. And Kelce's that dude. He knows he's not what he used to be.
The confrontation lasted approximately 15 seconds before both men separated and continued their conversation while walking down the sideline. What was particularly noteworthy was that no teammates felt the need to intervene, suggesting that such intense exchanges were not entirely unprecedented in the Chiefs' locker room culture. Reid's immediate response to halftime reporter Melissa Stark became one of the most memorable quotes of the season. His simple statement, "That's okay, we need some juice, so that's good," would be endlessly analyzed and memed. But it also revealed his philosophy about channeling passion into performance. The second half transformation that followed would provide the strongest evidence that their confrontation had been productive rather than destructive. The Chiefs exploded for 16 unanswered points, including a masterful 75-yard touchdown drive to open the third quarter. The team rushed for a season-high 142 yards, with the kind of balanced attack that had made them championship contenders. The viral clip began circulating on social media almost immediately with the hashtag #KelseyReid20, accumulating over 3 million mentions suspensions within 48 hours. The .0 inches designation was a clear reference to their Super Bowl confrontation, suggesting that fans and media members viewed this as part of an ongoing pattern rather than an isolated incident. As the final seconds ticked off the clock in the Chiefs' 22-9 victory, both Reid and Kelce had proven that their relationship was strong enough to withstand another public test. But the incident had also revealed the ongoing pressures and frustrations that were driving both men to their emotional limits, setting the stage for intense scrutiny and analysis that would continue for weeks to come. The pressure cooker, how years of explosive moments led to a breaking point. The MetLife Stadium confrontation didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the inevitable result of mounting pressures that had been building for both Travis Kelce and Andy Reid throughout their careers, marked by individual histories of explosive moments, heated confrontations, and controversial incidents that had shaped both their careers and their complex relationship. The Chiefs entered Week 3 with an unprecedented 0-2 record, marking their worst start since Andy Reid's arrival in 2013. This wasn't just any ordinary rough patch. This was a dynasty in crisis, built on the volatile foundation of two men whose relationship had been forged through fire, controversy, and unprecedented success. Travis Kelce's journey to NFL stardom had been anything but smooth, marked by incidents that revealed both his competitive fire and his struggle to control his emotions under pressure. His problematic behavior dated back to his college days at the University of Cincinnati, where in May 2010, he got into a physical altercation with police officers at a local diner, punching an officer in the face and leading to his arrest for disorderly conduct and assault. This incident resulted in his suspension for the entire 2010 season by Coach Butch Jones, forcing him into anger management counseling and nearly derailing his football career before it truly began.
This guy, I saw play against Temple.
Yeah.
And my son kept telling me this tight end is unbelievable. Kelce's brother is like incredible. I mean, he's 265 pounds. He's a beast. And then I get
his scouting.
I know. But then I get him. He's like 240. But that's okay. But I remember this. I'm gonna bring back a memory for you. Game's over. They just destroyed Temple. And I come over to the locker room. You're there.
Yep.
With your mom. Yep. And he comes popping out and just giving me the business.
Yeah.
Like we're long lost friends. And I'm going, deep down, I'm going, if I get my hands on that son of a buck, I am going to rip his heart out. But I played along with it.
Yeah.
Played along with it. Cocky.
Reid's recollection of his first encounter with Kelce perfectly captured the young man's brash personality and the red flags that surrounded his draft profile.
Do you think, so back to draft night, does Travis get drafted if you hadn't drafted me and knew me already? But the red flags that were kind of out there around him?
Yeah, that would have been tough. If you were in the league, I still would have called you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have called you. Somewhere I would have called you. Yeah. And checked on him. Just to make sure, because I had heard the rumors about him.
The college incident set a pattern that would follow Kelce into his professional career. His rookie season in 2014 saw him fined $8,681 for taunting Baltimore Ravens linebacker Terrell Suggs, mimicking a bow and arrow gesture and yelling, resulting in a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. The fine represented his first game check, a harsh introduction to the NFL's disciplinary system. The pattern of emotional outbursts continued throughout his career, with perhaps the most significant incident occurring during the Week 2 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025. After bobbling a fourth-quarter end-zone pass from Mahomes that turned into an interception, Kelce ripped off his helmet and slammed it to the turf, yelling, "I'm tired of this shit," at teammates and officials. The Eagles game also featured another controversial moment that would cost Kelce financially. After a 23-yard catch in the third quarter, he ran down the Eagles' sideline, simulating juggling his groin in what appeared to be a variation of the Sam Cassell dance, directing the gesture toward Philadelphia's bench. The NFL subsequently fined him $14,491 for unsportsmanlike conduct and obscene gestures, part of the league's $222,000 Week 2 crackdown on inappropriate celebrations. Perhaps most concerning was Kelce's physical confrontation with teammate Jawan Taylor during the Week 1 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. After Taylor's fourth penalty of the game, Kelce delivered what insiders described as a motivational headbutt to his teammate in the huddle, yelling, "Wake up," at the struggling right tackle. While no fine or suspension resulted from this incident, it raised questions about the line between leadership and aggression. Andy Reid's own history was far from without controversy, marked by personal tragedies, questionable player signings, and moments of poor judgment that had followed him throughout his coaching career. The most devastating period came in 2007 when both of his eldest sons were arrested on the same day in separate drug-related incidents that exposed deep problems within the Reid household. Garrett Reid, 23, was involved in a high-speed car crash where police found heroin, marijuana, and drug paraphernalia in his vehicle, vehicle, while Britt Reid, 21, was arrested after pointing a loaded 9mm pistol at another motorist during a road rage incident. The court proceedings revealed the extent of the family's struggles when Northampton County Judge Barry Feudal called the Reid home a drug emporium after searches uncovered additional prescription drugs and illegal substances. The tragedy reached its devastating climax in August 2012 when Garrett Reid was found dead in his dorm room at Lehigh University during Eagles training camp, the victim of an accidental heroin overdose. Investigators discovered a used syringe, spoon, and dozens of needles in his room, along with anabolic steroids, painting a tragic picture of a young man's battle with addiction. Reid's coaching decisions had also drawn controversy, particularly his willingness to give second chances to players with troubled histories. His decision to draft Tyreek Hill in 2016, despite the wide receiver's dismissal from Oklahoma State for domestic battery charges, drew significant criticism, especially during the height of the #MeToo movement. Similarly, his signing of Kareem Hunt in 2019 after Hunt's release from the Browns for a domestic violence incident that was caught on video sparked protests and accusations that Reid prioritized talent over accountability. More recently, Reid's support for Rashee Rice following the wide receiver's multi-car crash in Dallas and subsequent 6-game suspension drew criticism when teammates wore free Rashee shirts before games. Victim Ariel Young's family criticized the show of support as insensitive, highlighting the ongoing tension between Reid's loyalty to his players and public accountability. Reid had also faced financial penalties for his own conduct, most notably when he and Patrick Mahomes were fined $100,000 and $50,000 respectively for public criticism of officiating following their AFC Championship loss to the Buffalo Bills. Reid's comments about expecting a warning on an offside call that nullified a game-tying touchdown drew the largest fine of his coaching career. Against this backdrop of controversy and volatility, the Chiefs' early season struggles took on added significance. Their offense, once a powerhouse that struck fear into defensive coordinators across the league, had stumbled to an embarrassing 21st. Ranking and scoring, averaging just 17.5 points per game through their first 2 contests. For Kelce, the decline was particularly painful in public. Through the first 2 games, he had managed just 6 catches for 108 yards and 1 touchdown, numbers that paled in comparison to his legendary standards and fueled speculation about his age-related decline at 35. The physical toll was evident as well, with a nagging high ankle sprain sustained during August training camp, limiting his mobility and effectiveness. Media scrutiny had reached unprecedented levels, with analysts and commentators questioning whether the Chiefs' dynasty was coming to an end. Stephen A. Smith delivered perhaps the most pointed criticism on ESPN's First Take, stating what many were thinking, but few were willing to say publicly about the aging superstar.
And because he's not what he used to be, he can't make up for the loss of a Rashee Rice. He can't make up for the loss of a Xavier Worthy. And remember, Xavier Worthy, he's the reason Xavier Worthy is out, because they got mixed up on their route running, and he ran into Xavier Worthy and basically separated his shoulder, which is why Xavier Worthy has been out. Travis Kelce himself took the blame for that. I'm not blaming him. He blamed himself.
Smith's analysis was particularly cutting because it highlighted not just Kelce's individual struggles, but how those struggles were affecting the entire team's performance.
Back here on First Take, the Chiefs survived in primetime last night as they took on the Giants, beating New York 22-9. Russell Wilson threw 2 interceptions that the Chiefs struggled to take advantage of. It wasn't until the second half that there was a spark between Mahomes and receiver Tyquan Thornton. However, it was Travis Kelce and Andy Reid that had everyone talking about their sideline exchange.
The pressure wasn't just statistical, it was deeply personal for both men. Reid, at 67 years old and in his 26th NFL season, was facing questions about whether his offensive system was still effective in the modern game. Kelce, meanwhile, was grappling with the reality of athletic decline while trying to maintain his role as the team's emotional leader and primary offensive weapon. The Chiefs' inability to field their intended receiving core at full strength added another layer of frustration.
Do you realize that since Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Travis Kelce have all signed to be in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform since 2024, since the beginning of the 2024 season, y'all? Do you know that the 4 of them have never been on the field together once? Not one time. That's what's going on here.
The warning signs had been flashing red since the very first snap of the season. In Week 1, during their Brazil opener against the Los Angeles Chargers, the Chiefs were plagued by a staggering 12 penalties for 105 yards, with right tackle Jawan Taylor alone responsible for 4 infractions. The game became a masterclass in self-destruction, and even Travis Kelce, the team's emotional leader, couldn't contain his frustration. As the Chiefs prepared to face the Giants, both Reid and Kelce were carrying the weight of their past controversies, current struggles, and the the expectations of a franchise that had grown accustomed to excellence. The stage was set for an explosion that would test the limits of their relationship and provide the most public examination yet of the volatile dynamics that had somehow produced 3 Super Bowl championships in 5 years. The aftermath, truth, reconciliation, and future implications. The immediate aftermath, confrontation between Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, would prove to be just as revealing as the heated exchange itself, unfolding as a masterclass in crisis management, relationship dynamics, and the complex ways that championship-level organizations handle internal conflict under the brightest possible spotlight. What emerged in the hours and days following their sideline collision was not just damage control, but a deeper understanding of how 2 volatile personalities had learned to channel their passion into sustainable success, while also providing a glimpse into what the future might hold for both men and the Kansas City Chiefs organization. The transformation began before the confrontation had even finished trending on social media. The Chiefs' offense, which had managed just 106 passing yards in a frustrating first half, exploded for 16 unanswered points in the second half. The turnaround was immediate and dramatic, beginning with a precision 75-yard touchdown drive to open the third quarter, with Mahomes completing 5 of 6 passes for 62 yards. And capping the march with a 12-yard touchdown pass to wide receiver Tyquan Thornton. Reid's post-game press conference provided the first official response to what millions had witnessed, and his approach would set the tone for how the organization would handle the inevitable media firestorm.
I love Travis's passion, man, so I'm okay with that. We didn't have enough of it that second quarter. Well, it wasn't where we needed to be. So within reason, he knows when to back off the pedal and knows when to push it too. So that's part I love about him. The guy's all in. Just sometimes I have to be the policeman.
Reid's characterization of himself as the policeman was particularly telling, suggesting that his aggressive shoulder bump had been a calculated coaching decision rather than an emotional reaction. The incident quickly became a lightning rod for commentary from across the sports media landscape, with personalities offering dramatically different perspectives based on their own experiences and philosophical approaches to coaching and leadership. ESPN's coverage was largely sympathetic, with analysts like Adam Schefter describing the incident as passion, not poison, drawing parallels to similar emotional displays during playoff runs. The network's approach reflected a broader understanding within NFL circles that such emotional displays were often byproducts of championship-level intensity. However, other media personalities were less forgiving. Amy Trask, the former Raiders CEO and current CBS NFL analyst, took a more measured approach during her September 26th appearance, stating, "I think people are making this into more than it needs to be." Her perspective as a former executive provided a different lens through which to view the incident, emphasizing organizational stability over individual moments of conflict. Perhaps the most nuanced analysis came from Sam McDowell of the Kansas City Star, who wrote in his September 26th column, "Even if we ride along with the concept that the effect became a net positive, that it ignited some passion and led to better football, we have to agree that the cause was not. It's frustration, and there seems to be a lot of it, and publicly." McDowell's insider perspective provided crucial context about the broader organizational concerns beyond the single incident. The most pointed criticism came from Skip Bayless during his September 24th Arena podcast, where he suggested, "Travis Kelce has become such an actor now and a celebrity. I wonder if Andy knows it's staged to inspire the team." Bayless's comments reflected growing skepticism about whether Kelce's off-field celebrity status was affecting his on-field behavior and authenticity. The viral nature of the confrontation was unprecedented, with the hashtag #KelceReid2, accumulating over 3 million mentions across social media platforms within 48 hours of the incident. The rapid spread ensured that the confrontation would become a major storyline, not just for Chiefs fans, but for the entire NFL community. The most extreme reaction came in the form of the #CutKelce hashtag, which peaked at over 50,000 mentions, with some fans and critics calling for the Chiefs to release their star tight end. However, these calls were quickly debunked by more rational analysis that pointed to Kelce's massive $34.3 million contract extension and his continued value to the organization, making a release financially devastating with over $17 million in dead money. The timing of Kelce's first public comments was carefully orchestrated and strategically crucial. Rather than rushing to defend himself or explain his actions immediately after the game, he waited until September 26th, 5 full days after the incident, to provide his first thoughtful response to reporters from the Kansas City Star. I love that guy, man. There's nothing outside of this building that's gonna make me feel any different way. We know exactly each other's intentions, Kelce told reporters. His words carefully chosen to emphasize the strength of his relationship with Reid, while also acknowledging that their heated exchange had been misunderstood by outside observers. He continued with perhaps his most important statement. I think what Coach Reid does best is he challenges guys to be at their best, and I love that about him. It definitely helped me take my game to another level that game. This reframing was crucial because it transformed the narrative from a negative confrontation into a positive catalyst for improvement. Kelce's September 27th appearance on his New Heights podcast with brother Jason provided an even more detailed and personal perspective. The podcast, which had become a cultural phenomenon partly due to Kelce's relationship with Taylor Swift, gave him a platform to control his own narrative in a way that traditional media interviews could not.
I feel like, Jack, if Andy Reid ain't got a problem with it and that's the kind of relationship they got, we should all leave it alone. But what was your thought when you saw Kelce and Andy Reid?
When I answer questions the way I like to answer questions, I like to answer from experience. And people always say, well, why you always got to make it about you?
The incident with Kelce was not Reid's first high-profile sideline confrontation, and examining his history with other players provided important context for understanding his coaching philosophy and management style. Reid had previously been fined $100,000 for public criticism of officiating following the AFC Championship loss to the Buffalo Bills in January 2024, when he and Mahomes both blasted a late offside call. Crucially, teammates rallied around both Reid and Kelce in the aftermath of the incident. Defensive tackle Chris Jones, one of the team's veteran leaders, provided perhaps the most insightful commentary. Travis is a fierce competitor. It's all out of competitive spirit. That fire, it lifts us. Patrick Mahomes, when asked about the incident, offered his characteristic diplomatic response. He's a guy that loves it. That's Travis, suggesting that such passionate displays were not only expected, but appreciated by his teammates. The incident occurred amid unprecedented media attention on Kelce due to his relationship with Taylor Swift, adding another layer of complexity to the public reaction. Social media posts frequently connected the confrontation to Swift's absence from games due to security concerns, suggesting that Kelce's personal life was affecting his on-field focus. Looking toward the future, the incident raises several crucial questions about the trajectory of both men's careers and the Kansas City Chiefs organization. For Reid, at 67 years old and in his 26th NFL season, the confrontation highlighted both his continued passion for coaching and the physical and emotional demands of managing elite-level talent. His contract extension through the 2028 season suggests the organization believes he can continue at this level, but the incident also demonstrated the ongoing challenges he faces in balancing his players' emotions with public expectations. For Kelce, the aftermath revealed a player still capable of channeling his passion into positive outcomes, but also one grappling with the realities of aging and declining physical abilities. His statement that he would retire if Reid leaves, "I'm not playing for anybody else but Big Red," adds another layer of complexity to future planning. The Chiefs front office must consider whether this codependency is sustainable or if they need to begin preparing for life after both men. As of September 28, 2025, the clash had been fully resolved with no lingering issues between Reid and Kelce. Both men practiced side by side throughout the week, with Kelce listed as a full participant on the injury report and no behavioral concerns flagged by the organization. Want to see more like this? Click the suggested cards on your screen to continue watching.